Okay, welcome everyone to the regular council meeting of February 12th, 2024. Members of the public can be present in the council chambers during the meeting, and also public members can observe the meeting via Zoom. And please note that the webinar will be recorded and published to the city's YouTube site. The first item on the agenda tonight is the adoption of the agenda, and the recommendation is before you. Can I have someone move that, please? Councilor Martin, Councilor Wilson, all those in favor? Carried unanimously, thank you. Next we have the adoption of the minutes, and I'll do them separately tonight. The first one is the Governance and Operations Committee meeting of January 22nd, 2024. And the recommendation is before you. Is there someone that would like to move that, please? Councilor Cashall, Councilor Wilson, all those in favor? Thank you, carried unanimously. And the second item is the regular council meeting of January 22nd, 2024. And the recommendation is before you. Is there someone that would like to move that, please? Councilor Martin and Councilor Wilson. All those in favor? Thank you. Public question period. Is there anyone that would like to pose a question?
Before I pose the question, I'd like to thank Mayor Jones, council and staff for all of their support for the warming center. All of the partners that this made to happen need to be commended. People changed locks, people came and volunteered, and one thing I know about this community, this is a very giving community, and someone brought soup every night. People were coming with muffins, and food bank supplied all the groceries that they needed so that they didn't have to go shopping. So I just wanted to say I really appreciate the support and the cooperation with everybody. Here's my question. Is there a plan in place to address a cooling center? Because if it's either gonna rain all summer or we're gonna have extreme heat again. And I must say, you know, Mayor Jones worked really hard with all the partners to put it together in like 2 days almost. It was absolutely crazy. So I'm wondering if we're gonna look ahead as opposed to everyone scrambling. And that's sort of how I feel happens. My other question is there a plan in place to transition from the shelter operating now to the new system? My understanding is, and I've been in a few meetings, there's gonna be no longer access for people on the street. Only the 25 people that are in the housing area will get access. And I'm wondering about the unhoused people that are not gonna have access to food, go to the bathroom at the shelter and all that stuff. And I'm not sure if we've even really looked at that as an issue. I don't know if that goes to the housing committee or where that should fall, but I am certainly concerned about that issue and what's going to be perceived and what's going to happen. We might be, I think right now, people are pretty quiet about they seem okay with what's really happening right now. You don't hear a lot like we did at one time. And I think that'll change if we get the traders insight. Those are my two questions I'd like council to look at.
Okay.
Thank you.
First of all, thank you, Mary Lynn,
Yes.
for your kind words to council. I don't think we could have done as well in the shelter if it wasn't for your support and the United Church ladies as well. I mean, you guys stepped up when we needed you, and we really appreciated that too. To answer your first question, is there a plan in place for a cooling center? We are in discussions about that right now with BC Housing and Interior Health. Dr. Sue Pollock is in on that conversation. And item number 2, the transitioning part, after we get the shelter up. We are also in discussion with that with BC Housing at this time. We know it's a difficult situation. We know that there's still probably going to be people on the streets, but we're hoping that we can find a resolution to that as well. I mean, I think you know, as we know, going through this process, that not everyone will want to go into the shelter. So we're looking at how we care for them as well. But this is something that is a priority for council at this time. But I thank you for bringing it up tonight.
Those are just, I wanna give three quick, I want you to hear this, three quick stories. One story was two women said, gee, you guys are so respectful here, nobody's called us down or anything at the warming center. They were really quite appreciative. Every morning someone asked me for a broom to sweep the steps. The saddest story I heard, there was a fellow that his hands were all split and cut and dirty. And a volunteer spent an hour with him, cleaning his hands, bandaging him, trying to fix it. The following week, I went to the CBT meeting, just to thank them for their support. And the Beaver Valley Food Bank was asking me how the warming center went, so I was telling her. The woman next to me said to me, I was that volunteer. She said, and when I went home, I couldn't go to sleep, I was so upset, because they were both almost crying. He was in such pain. So I think that the warming center offered a lot more than just getting warm and having a cup of hot chocolate.
Thank you. I think we all learned a lot from this experience that we just had with the emergency warming weather response. I think we learned a lot from that whole process. So going forward, I know it's going to look different for everyone.
I hope so.
Yeah. Thanks, Marianne.
Sorry, I didn't.
Okay, we also have a delegation tonight. We have Heather Glenn Dirksoff and Allison Girard, ending working poverty.
Yes, thank you. Thanks for inviting me or for allowing us to come and speak to you today. Allison is here behind me. So my name is Heather Glenn Dirksoff, and I work in poverty reduction at the Skills Center. Part of my time, and that's the hat I'm wearing here today. And Allison is the programs manager and is supporting the work that we're doing around poverty reduction. Today I just wanted to share with you a bit of the background and a bit of an update in case you're not aware sort of the work that's happening there. So the Ending Working Poverty project started about 1.5 years ago. We were selected from the Tamarack Institute as one of 5 municipalities across the nation. So we're working closely with Drumheller in Alberta, Chatham-Kent in Ontario, Saskatoon and Winnipeg to address working poverty at a systemic level. And so the Skills Center, like I said, the City of Trail was actually chosen, but our relationship with Tamarack and the Skills Center is what brought us on board. And so, like I said, we're about 1.5 years in. It's a 3-year project. The first 1.5 years, we were really looking at creating what we call a leadership table. So it's a multi-sectoral table representing our community to come together to talk about how do we address this issue? What does this issue even look like in Trail? So that's what we've been spending a lot of our time on the last 1.5 years. And me and Karen sits on that table. We also have a representative from small business, a representative from LCIC, a representative from Trout Fair Society, as well as folks that have lived experience. We have 2 folks that sit on that table as well. And so locally, what we're doing is we're trying to look at how we can impact those that are living with low income but are still working and having a hard time making ends meet locally. How can we help them locally? So Plan H, which is a grant that is offered through public health. We had applied through the city for this grant. We were awarded the grant. And so right now we're working on the pieces of that grant, which are to open up the City of Trail's 2 plans that sort of can impact our population. One is the Thriving for All Poverty Reduction Plan, and the other is the Healthy Communities Plan. They were both created in 2017. It's a good time probably to reopen them, have a look at them. But specifically, we're going to be looking at them through the lens of working poverty and making sure it's equitable. So part of the Plan H grant, or a very large part of the grant, is doing a lot of community engagement work. So we've done step one, we did sort of a soft community engagement through a survey, just looking at financial wellness in our community. That just closed at the end of January. We had 103 respondents across the city, a very diverse group of respondents. I'm just starting to analyze the data now, and I'd be happy to share what that looks like when the data is ready. The idea is to use that data to support our conversations for our in-person community engagement roundtables. And the first of those will be happening at the end of this month on the 28th, Wednesday evening from 5 to 7. And the idea again is multi-sectoral, having a whole bunch of different sectors of community come together in a focused conversation around how we can look at supporting our community members that are working and still in poverty, and then how can we adopt and change the plans that best suit all of our community. And so again, that's happening at the end of this month at the United Church. And invitations have gone out, and we're just waiting to hear back from people. And then we'll also offer a third community engagement session at the end of May, and that's really once we've looked at the plans needed, some adoptions or changes, and then coming back to community and asking what does this look like, this is what's gonna work for us here on Trail. And the project is to be completed in September of 2024. That's the update that I have for you, and be open to questions. Yes.
Thank you for your presentation. So when this plan is complete, what are the next steps for advocacy, for funding opportunity? Like, what is the next step? You have this plan that's done, you've had a consultation process. Now what happens from that?
Yeah, absolutely, fantastic question. So Tamarack is funding us for a period of 3 years. So each year we can go back to them and ask for what they call deep dive funding. So once we get this set, we'll know what best to ask for next. So we do have funding already in place for some actionable items.
So for
yes.
For you guys as the project or for individuals? Like how does, like what does that?
Oh, for us as the project, but depending on what the plan lays out, so there could be pieces that are individual based.
Okay,
Or program based that would impact individuals that we could use that fund for.
so childcare so that someone can go to work and not have to pay $600 a month or
Right.
$500 a month.
There could definitely, there could be definitely like it's my other hat, we're working on some childcare pieces, and there could be some crossover with that too. Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Councilor
Thank you, Mary. When do you think you'll have your data compilation finished?
Of the survey, I'm hoping within the next 2 weeks. It's crunch time for me because it needs to inform the community engagement workshops.
I'm not
Yeah.
gonna put any pressure on you.
No.
It would be information that would be valuable to share with council, for sure, so I appreciate
Absolutely.
that.
Yeah, no, my goal is to have it done. We have a meeting with public health actually on the last Monday of this month, so I wanna have it done before then. Yeah.
Thank you, Mayor Jones.
We do have the information in our packages about the roundtable, and I'm sure if council is interested in attending, you're more than welcome to.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, we're looking forward to getting some good dialogue and information about that. Sorry, Councilor Benson.
That's just what I was gonna ask if you can.
Oh. Is there any more questions for Heather? Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your time today.
Okay, item number 5 on the agenda is communications. Is there any, there's a letter in our package, is there any other information that we need to have before I put this recommendation forward? No, and I think we did have a presentation of this previously, so the recommendation is before you from the regional district for the UBCM 2024 CRI Fire Smart Community Funding and Supports. Councillor Hansen and Councillor Benson. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. And item 5.2, the Ability Awareness Advisory Committee Terms of Reference, and I'll hand this over to General Manager.
Thank you through the chair. This is our first step at being compliant with the new legislation for the Accessible BC Act. So what we are asking for here tonight is adoption of the terms of reference so that we can then proceed with advertising for Abilities Awareness Committee.
Any questions, Councilor Benson? Any questions? Oh, you're moving that? Okay, thank you. Is there a seconder? Councilor Wilson, all those in favor? Carried unanimously, thank you. And item 5.3 is proclamation request for Heritage Week. And the recommendation is that council proclaim the week of February the 19th to the 25th, 2024 as the Heritage Week in the city of Toronto. Is there somebody, thank you, Councilor Butler, Councilor Martin, second. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. We'll move on to our bylaws. 6.1, revitalization tax exception bylaw 2935, 2024 for adoption. The recommendation is before you. CAO, did you want to speak on that before we?
Thanks, Your Worship, just, this is where in adoption, we've gone through this, I'll be interested to see how, what I'm taking, we know that there's one organization that will be, I think, on the list. And again, as a committee, we've got some time here to sort of figure out what's coming down for our zoning changes that are coming with the province and looking at how we might expand this. So, good to know.
Okay, thank you. So the recommendation is before you. Can I have someone move that recommendation? Oh, yes.
With this, if this is passed, I would like to see this advertised and put out in the community and their communications. Because I think this is something that it needs to go out to all resources to know that this is available tools for our community, for our, businesses, et cetera, to, redeem some money to improve their spaces.
Yeah. I think it's a great incentive actually for businesses to do, some good work on their buildings and. So the recommendation is before you. Did someone make that motion? Oh, Councilor Hanson, is there a seconder? Councilor Butler, all those in favor? Thank you. That was carried unanimously. Item 6.2 is the solid yard waste regulation bylaw number 2936/24, and this is for the first, second, and third readings. And the recommendation is before you. Did you want to speak on that?
Yes,
Thank you.
good, thanks, Mayor Jones. And thanks to General Manager Butler, she is the one that crafted this. It just, again, wanted to reiterate with council, we had already dealt with the actual fees and charges component of this, knowing that the city, as part of the regional service, had the regional district take on our collection of residential garbage, which was one of the main drivers of our. And so this bylaw is new, completely revamped, based on the work that our general manager has done, and I think gets us in compliance with the work that the city now is responsible for, and also speaks to the garbage tag fee that's in there, the fact that we now collect organics, giving us some parameters around that. There's certainly some questions that we do have going into the future. I know just even as myself that, us taking 6-inch logs, those were those ones that kind of surprised me. I think we were in the logging side of things, or some of our waste collection. And so there's some pieces as we go through this right now that we're saying as our program staff say, yes, we can do that. And but I do wonder how feasible that is in the future, or what rules or changes might be coming, for example, through the RDKB, as they are the ones where we drop off the materials. So there's some work to look at this into the future.
It's over 6 inches.
Yeah, that's not.
That's awesome.
Yes. Fair size. And that's right. That's right. Yes. So I think that right now this is necessary tool that we didn't necessarily have the backup for what we had fees and charges for, so get this in place, and now we've got a good, solid bylaw that we can follow.
Okay, so the recommendation is before you, that the solid and yard waste regulation bylaw number 2936/2024 be read at a first, second, and third time. There's someone, Councillor Benson and Councillor Butler.
May I speak to this? Now that it's on the floor?
Sorry?
May I speak to it now that it's on the
Oh,
floor?
sure, yes, thank you.
Before we call for the question, I completely appreciate the revamping and understand the need for clarity now that things have changed, with the waste bylaw. As we are seeing, you know, potentially that the solid waste, costs may be changing with the RDKB portion, not necessarily the City of Trail portion, but potentially. I would like to maybe take out the portion of it where there is the spring and fall cleanup, and as opposed to having a separate charge for that as utilities and be put into part of people's property taxes.
And I think that that's appropriate, but if you could maybe allow us, so the one thing that we did try to reiterate on that is that if you'll notice at the very bottom of it, that we did note that that was the fee for 2024. And so the fact that it's there means that like is in 2025, we wouldn't have that fee because it's fee was for 2024. So it may naturally.
2023, this year coming forward.
So this is the one that why we had it in there, because we did put that on the 2024 invoice. But you'll notice that it is only for 2024, so on that.
Yes.
So the goal being that when we turn into 2025, unless council directs us to put that back on here as the 2025 version, that we would expect that that would be an option, is that we would be looking at it of not having it on here at all.
Potentially for
Yes.
not anymore. Okay, thank you. Just wanted to speak
Yes.
and just clarify.
Thank you.
Okay, is there any other questions or comments? Okay, so the motion is before you, can someone make that, oh, we already did that, we have to go for the vote, sorry guys. So all those in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously, thank you. 6.3 is the zoning amendment bylaw number 2937/2024 for its first and second readings. Ms. Butler, did you want to speak to that? The bylaw?
Yes, thank you through the chair. This is first and second reading for a short-term rental property. And if we pass first and second reading, then it will go to public hearing. And public hearing will be held at our next council meeting date.
Okay. So the recommendation is before you. May I have someone make that, Councillor Cashel, please, Councillor Martin, all those in favor? Carried unanimously, thank you. On to council committee reports. Councillor Branson, you're up first.
Thank you, Mayor Jones. On January 25th, I attended the Trail Historical Society AGM along with the rest of council. We were treated to a presentation on the old bridge from the building of it, and it was actually really interesting. On February 1st, along with yourself, Mayor Jones, I attended the kickoff meeting for the BC Winter Games Nominations Committee, hosted by the City of Rossland, where we met with the BC Games executive, the CEO of the BC Winter Games, to get a full understanding of what our roles are and what the timeline looks like. So we'll start with our first, I guess, working meeting this Thursday to choose a president and vice president for the BC Winter Games here in Trail and Rossland in 2026, and then help make the rest of the board of directors. And then today we had a Silver City Days meeting, so just a quick update for that is that the vendor application for the food fair is now online. And we're accepting applications until March 8th. We can create our menu of fine delicacies on the Esplanade. And we're treated to a good review of the budget from Colin McClure. So thank you very much for that. So that is my report.
Thank you, Councillor Benson. Councillor Butler.
Nothing to report. Mayor Jones.
Councillor Cashel.
Thank you, Mayor Jones. On January 25th, I also attended the Trail Historical Society AGM, chaired by President Jeff Bruce. I really enjoyed, and got a lot of the presentation on the old bridge presented by Sarah Benson Lord. On January the 27th, I also, other councillors and Mayor Jones attended the 2024 Trail Ambassador candidate debut at the Colombo Lodge. I really enjoyed the event. I just want to acknowledge and to say thank you to Cassidy Favero, I think I'm pronouncing that properly, and Lauren Shepherd, sorry, can't read my own writing, for the mentorship and the leadership that they provide to these young participants. It's a great program, and I just want to continue to support it. On February the 6th, I met with a resident of Jubilee Manor as a result of an email that had been sent to Mayor and Council on February the 3rd. And this meeting was regarding an encampment that's currently on Jubilee Park. On February the 8th, I, along with Mayor and Council, attended a special closed meeting under Section 90, brackets 1 of the Community Charter. And on February the 8th, in the evening, I participated in a webinar. It was hosted by Moms Stop the Harm, and it was featuring harm reduction recovery expert Guy Facella. I hope I'm pronouncing his name properly. And I also participated as co-chair this morning with Councillor Benson on the Silver City Days committee. And that is my report, Mayor Jones. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cashel. Councillor Hanson.
Thank you, Mayor Jones. On the 24th, I was asked to participate in a community interagency meeting hosted by the United Way to identify gaps in the community for services. On the 25th, I also attended the Trail Historical Society AGM. And then the 27th, the Trail Ambassador Program candidate debut. And I couldn't agree with Councillor Cashel more. Ms. Favreau, Ms. Edwards do an incredible job, and I can't wait to see the candidates come May as they progress and grow and learn. It's a great program. And on the 7th, had a meeting with Pacific Coastal to explore additional opportunities for the Trail Regional Airport.
Thank you, Councillor Hanson. Councillor Martin.
Thank you, Mayor Jones. Council, I attended the following meetings. On January 24th, RDKB Policy and Personnel Committee meeting in Grand Forks. We reviewed quite a few policies there. I won't get into details. There was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them. Also on January 24th, RDKB Lunch and Learn session in Grand Forks prior to the board meeting on Robert's Rules of Order, which I shared the information and a PowerPoint presentation with Mayor and Council. And on that afternoon, on January 24th, RDKB board meeting in Grand Forks. We had a presentation from the Boundary Community Ventures Association regarding food recovery. Presentation from Community Future Central Kootenay requesting support for the West Kootenay Rural and Northern Immigration Pilot Program, which was passed. And we also had various zoning bylaw amendments, development variance permits, and building bylaw contraventions. And with Mayor Jones and other members of council on January 25th, I also attended the Trail Historical Society annual general meeting. On January 27th, with Mayor Jones and other members of council, I also attended the Trail Ambassador candidate debut at the Colombo Lodge. That was a well-attended event debuting this year's candidates and their sponsors. On February the 5th, RDKB had a governance check-in for all board members in Trail. It was facilitated by Tracy Lawrenson to see how everyone is doing and our thoughts of the overall board effectiveness and performance this past 6 months. On February the 7th, we had an RDKB board meeting via Teams, which we discussed various budgets and work plans. That's it for my report.
Thank you, Councillor Martin. Councillor Wilson.
Thank you, Your Worship. On January the 31st, I attended a webinar put on by UBCM regarding the BC short-term rentals. Sounds like there's going to be a lot more coming out as we have the UBCM housing summit coming up this week, but for us, it does appear by May the 1st, all short-term rentals are gonna need business licenses, so I think it's just something for us to keep on our radar with city staff. And I look forward to seeing, obviously, the changes that are gonna come out with that. That's my report, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Wilson. Okay, well, it sounds like we've all been busy doing the same things, going to the same places, but lots of good stuff happening out there. I just have a few updates on some of the things that I've been involved with over the last little bit here. First of all, I wanted to touch base on the BC Winter Games. And just, we had our first meeting in Roslyn, of course, with the representatives from both communities. Myself and Mayor Andy Merrill are co-chairs of the games, and we'll be sharing those responsibilities during the organizing and planning of it. I wanted to mention that Councillor Benson is our representative to the nominating committee from council, and we should have our BC Winter Games Host Society president and vice president in place by the end of March. The BC Winter Games, very exciting for our community, for both communities actually, are being held February 19th to the 22nd in 2026, which seems like a long way out, but time flies and we're going to be really busy and prepared for when it does come. Just an idea of the number of participants that we're expecting in our community at that time, and we will have up to 1,200 athletes, 300 coaches, and 200 officials. There are 16 sports that athletes will be competing in, and that the youngest age range is from age 9, and the oldest would be 17. The para athletes in the Special Olympics age range is 14 to 25. So we will need up to 1,500 volunteers to put this event, as a priority and to really show what our communities are about. I don't think we'll have any problem getting the volunteers because our communities are always amazing getting stuff organized like that, and I'm sure we'll be calling on other communities to support us as well because they've been involved in the BC Winter Games before. So just another number is volunteers will be providing up to 20,000 meals in 4 days. Over 1,300 medals will be awarded, and 1,800 foam mats will be used for beds during that time. So I'm really looking forward to reporting out more about this great opportunity for our two communities. I also wanted to report that the registration for the Association of Kootenay Boundary Local Government is opening today. It's going to be a great conference. We've got lots of great presenters again, and this is being held in Radiant Hot Springs. Once I get the full agenda of where everybody is placed, all the speakers and presenters, I'll forward it to council. I also wanted to announce that Kimberly will be hosting the conference next year, and in 2026, Trail will be hosting the conference. If you have any questions about it, just let me know and I can further you any information. We're just also waiting for the list of resolutions to come out as well. I also wanted to mention that some of council is attending the Union of BC Municipalities Housing Summit tomorrow, February the 13th and the 14th. So we're really hoping to get some good information from that summit that we can share with the community, get some ideas, about housing and how we're going to move that forward. I also wanted to mention that February 22nd, the Seniors Advocate will be in Trail. And she will be at the Legion from 9:30 to 11. And that's my report for tonight. Any questions, comments? Okay, thank you. The consent agenda. We have 3 items on the consent agenda. Can I have a motion to receive this for information? Council Martin and Council Wilson.
I'd like to pull something from the consent
Oh,
agenda.
sure.
So regarding Minister Whiteside's follow-up letter from UBCM, I know that in the budget from 2023 they set out investing $586 million into healthcare systems to add more treatment and recovery services, including 195 treatment and recovery beds throughout BC. Vernon Jubilee Hospital has just received funding for a new unit that will provide 44 single occupancy patient rooms, replacing the 30 beds at 2 existing inpatient psychiatric units. The Kootenay Boundary Regional Hospital is the acute psychiatric facility for the whole West Kootenays, with only 13 beds and at capacity on a regular basis, and absolutely no separate psychiatric space for use currently. There have not been any significant upgrades to this space in decades, and concerns for the safety of patients and staff are paramount with the lack of upgrades. I would like to ask for council's support to send a letter of response to Minister Dix, Whiteside, and Conroy, asking to prioritize funding to the Kootenay Boundary Regional Hospital.
Are you seconding that motion?
Yeah,
Councilor Costello?
yes, please.
Okay.
Your worship.
Do you have a copy of that motion so we can?
Yeah, I can send
Okay.
it, yeah.
Thank you. Okay, no, that sounds good. I think we do need to get more attention on the hospital here, so. All those in favor of the motion? Carried unanimously. So I still need a motion to receive the information of the Councilor Butler. Thank you. A seconder, Councilor Hanson. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. Any new business tonight? Item number 10 is the bylaw enforcement report. Can we have a motion to receive this for information, please? Councilor Cashel, Councilor Wilson. All those in favor? Thank you, carried unanimously. And adjournment. Councilor Martin and Councilor Hanson. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Mary Lynn.
Thank you.
Sure.